In the Loop Sports Radio 610, my name is Mark Ryan. I'm in for Cody Stoops today, along with John Lopez and Gerard Johnson. Sports Radio 610 is now on 100.3 HD2. Listen in crystal clear audio to all the shows in your Houston Texans on 100.3 HD2. Put 100.3 HD2 in position number 1 in your car and listen longer and HD audio to Houston sports leader Sports Radio 610. HD radio is free, not like satellite radio. You can install an HD radio into your old car. They make HD radios for home and office as well. Digital sound with real-time info about the station. Houston, you owe this Houston Texans team an apology. Each and every one of you owes this Texans team an apology.
I didn't do anything to them.
Because I've been in this building, John Lopez. I'm from Houston, but I've just recently moved back here for this position. It's great to be here. But when you've lived somewhere a while, you get sucked into the bubble of negativity that exists in any city about its sports, local politics, anything having to do with Houston. I'm not yet in that bubble of negativity. I haven't yet been corrupted by all this negativity surrounding the Texans, and I don't understand what all this pessimism is about. This city has an expectations problem when it comes to the Houston Texans. This team was projected to win 8.5 games this year. This isn't a Super Bowl team with J.J. Watt or without J.J. Watt. And yet here they are without J.J. Watt, with perhaps maybe the worst quarterback in their division, and they find themselves in first place. Yet all I hear from fans is negativity, pessimism. What I hear from many in our own building is negativity and pessimism. Folks, you in Houston, many of you, and to those of you who have been behind this team and support this team from beginning to end, I want to hear from you. But for those of you that want to admit where you're wrong, admission, folks, is the first step toward recovery. We're going to take your calls, and we'll accept your Texans apologies here. Okay? 713-572-4610 is the number. That's 713-572-4610. John Lopez, I think many in Houston are suffering from an ailment known as Houston hangover. The symptoms are very confrontational, very bitter, somewhat irrational, somewhat depressed. A headache is involved and a fever in some cases. Many in Houston are suffering from this ailment. It sucks. I'm tired of it. It's time for this city to apologize to this team today. They're in first place despite many of you, not because of many of you.
I'm going to look at it completely different. Having lived here for 26 years now, I'm a Houstonian, and I think it's more eyes wide open and frustration, and also hope. I mean, I've never been more hopeful about this team than I was yesterday afternoon. I'm like, and you said it earlier in the show, you know, maybe Kansas City comes back in here, maybe the Raiders come back in here for a first game postseason game, and you said, you know, they don't scare me. That part, I completely agree with you. They don't scare me. I have hope for this team, but it's not about pessimism as much as the frustration of the last 13 years and what we were sold as a bill of goods, what this team would be. I get J.J. Watt. Look, who doesn't, you know, who isn't frustrated and upset that J.J. couldn't play this year? But I'm not pessimistic about this team. I've never been more hopeful. I'm frustrated about what I'm seeing for the majority of this season. And they're 7-6 and they have control. And Gerard, I think they're going to get to the playoffs. But as much as I'm hopeful, I'm not buying any playoff tickets yet either, because I've seen what this team can do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it. I think it's deeper than just the record. I think that on one end, I do respect what you just said, and I respect the record. I respect what Bill O'Brien has said in the press conferences, you know, a couple of weeks ago when this stuff kind of first started. Look, man, this may not go as how we planned.
Yeah.
A win's a win, and you got to respect that. But from the pulse of the city, I think a lot of it is the expectations of what they thought this team was going to be. When you signed a $72 million quarterback, when you draft high, you spend those early round draft picks on offensive receivers who are big-time playmakers in college, on top of the fact our history of we've been spoiled in this city with good offense, or I guess I'm not even gonna say good offense. It's entertaining, yet, a more entertaining brand of offense. Like I loved watching Arian Foster run the pure zone, the zone scheme, and the gash in the run game. And Matt Schaub led the league in the NFL in passing for a couple of years. Say what you want about him as a player. From a style standpoint, yes. Offensive football was very, very fun to watch. You got accustomed to watching the Texans do that. And I think that it was the only reason why that stopped the last two years prior was because it didn't have the quarterback. So the expectations of the high-dollar quarterback with the receivers is this thought process of almost a New England Patriot style fun offense to watch play, and that's just not the case. When you thought your team was going to look a certain way, and we've kind of have to come to realization that the Texans are a defensive team who runs the football, who doesn't make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just hard to when you expect one thing and get another, it's hard for people to deal with that.
We get to your calls right now, accepting your apologies to the Texans. Elvia is up first with your apology. Hey, Elvia, what apology do you have for the Texans?
My apology is that I don't have enough money to go watch them play.
I got you. That's fair.
Okay, but I love watching them win or lose. I support them on TV, but, you know, if I could afford to go watch a game, I'd go force my husband to take me.
You're a true fan, Elvia. You're a true fan, and you're not the person that needs to apologize today, but I do appreciate your phone call. Brian is up next. Hey, Brian, what's your apology to the Texans? Go ahead.
I would like to apologize because, honestly, everybody talked about J.J. Watt when he went down. That was the season's over. I honestly thought when Nick Martin went down, I thought the season was done because his replacement, he's been pretty atrocious, but he hasn't been nearly as bad as I thought. So I'm a huge fan, but still, they've done a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah, exactly. And see, Brian, I accept your apology. On behalf of Texans Nation, we accept your apology, Brian. Admission, the cure for any ailment of addiction or depression or denial is not just a river in Egypt, Brian. The cure, the first step is admission. And Brian has admitted his apology, and we can commend that.
Nobody owes anybody any apologies.
They sure do. This team has been treated horribly, John. Horribly. Myron on the Texans is up next. Myron, what's your apology?
Well, my apology is to the Texans from the Texans fans for giving up on them and not believing in it. Yeah, everything didn't go our way, but what did you expect that out of dude with 7 stars? First year, the new system, everybody wants now. Now, next year we have this problem, then we have a problem.
Yeah, we do.
So listen to Myron, John. He's apologizing on behalf of the Texans fans. He's like, I'm a Texan fan. I'm apologizing for the poor behavior of the rest of us. Greg is up next. Hey, Greg, what's going on, bud?
Hey, sorry, I don't have an apology, but here's what I don't understand. I don't like when O'Brien comes out and says about Osweiler, look, he did what we asked him to do. So I don't know what makes me more angry. One, that he did it, or two, that they asked him to do it.
Yeah, look, we touched on that a little bit. Let's elaborate on that. I want to talk about Lamar Miller when we come back. But I think Bill O'Brien's greatest strength so far is recognizing Brock Osweiler's shortcomings. And for that, I'm hopeful because they have the defense and the running game, and maybe they can thrive with Brock Osweiler that way.
I think that's very well said. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, some of the true fans are calling in and saying, well, wait a minute. I never turn my back on this team. And to you, I give you a standing ovation. But I think there's been a very vocal majority that have been against everything this team has done. Even when they were 6-3, it was, yeah, but. Remember, folks, your expectations were out of line. This was a team that was supposed to win 8.5 games this year, according to Vegas, with J.J. Watt. And many in this town have been against this team from the get-go. All right? And I think, frankly, that sucks, and I'm glad that this team has proved you wrong. I see the phone lines absolutely exploding right now. We definitely want to get to many more of your calls, but also up next, the one hidden reason why this team is where they are today in first place in the AFC South. My name is Mark Ryan. I'm in for Cody Stutz alongside John Lopez and Gerard Johnson. We are in the Loop, Sports Radio 610.